Harris here, MD Online Editor. Some big news about this show, the Legion Sports Fest, happening in Reno, Nevada, this coming weekend. LegionSportsFest.com for all the info. Shaun Clarida, 2020 Olympia 212 champion and runner-up this year, 2021 to Derek Lunsford. He's doing an open show, and he's not waiting till next year or years down. He's doing it this Sunday, October 24th, at Reno, Nevada, at the Legion Sports Fest. He's 176 pounds. He's going to be up against, these are the bigger names doing the open. Cedric McMillan is doing it. Sergio Oliva Jr., who we just saw at the Arnold Classic a couple weeks before the Olympia. Max Charles, Regan Grimes, Martin Fitzwater, Martin the Martian, the youngster living in Denver, Colorado, who took fourth place at the Texas Pro. Great debut, just needed to be in a little better condition, a little bit. And I assumed he was shutting everything down and coming back next year. But Martin's not done. He's doing this show. But man, Patrick Moore from the Olympia, he's doing it. Joe Seaman from Canada. Tonio Burton, who was in the 212, is also doing open at this show. I also found out in the Masters Pro division, they have Masters 212. David Henry's coming out for that. But this is huge news. You're going to finally see Shaun Clarida standing next to guys like Cedric McMillan, who's about 270. Sergio Oliva Jr., he's probably about the same, 270, 275. Max Charles, Regan. These are big guys, but I think Shaun Clarida stands an excellent chance of winning this thing at 5'1", 176 pounds. Let's see what you guys are saying. I'm excited. This is we haven't seen a 212 guy go into open in quite a while, and usually they do smaller shows. This is a third tier Olympia qualifying show, but still, this is a great lineup for a post-Olympia show. Let me see what you guys think. Michael Edwards says, I was one of the few who always believed Clarida could beat Cedric. I want to see him, if he beats him, and I'm not saying he won't or can't, I want to see Cedric at least near his best. I don't want Clarida to beat anyone just because they were off. You know, I want to see everybody in great shape, and then if Shaun comes out on top as the champion of the open division, beating out guys like Sergio and Cedric and Regan, Max, Fitzwater, Patrick Moore, it really will say a lot. I think it'll encourage some of these other 212 guys to jump into open shows here and there. And I think this was probably the perfect opportunity for Shaun, because the Olympia is all said and done. But this show is only happening 2 weeks later. He only had to stay on his diet 2 more weeks and jump into this. Let's see. Wow, the open. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I'm psyched. You guys are going to be asking about the stream, I'm sure. It is pay-per-view. It's LegionSportsFest.com for all the pay-per-view info. There's a bundle for 3 days worth of the show for $44.99, or you can get each day individually for $29.99. There is no free way to see the show. Some of these, occasionally there are free streams, but most of the shows now are pay-per-view. This show is an Olympia qualifier, yes. So he's already qualified anyway for next year, but whoever wins this in the open will be qualified for the 2022 Mr. Olympia, absolutely. Mike, Shaun going open. Well, good for him. He will show up a lot of people. I think he could win it. I mean, why not? He's in shorter stature, but, back in the day, the Olympia used to be won by a guy. Franco Colombo won 2 Olympias, 1976 and 81. He was 5'4" on a good day, and he was beating out guys who were 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, much taller, much heavier guys. Because there was in the Arnold days, there was a short and tall class. Actually, I think it was over and under 200 pounds. Or was it short and tall? Then they got rid of it. It was just one class. And then mid-2000s, late 2000s, they came out with the 202 class, which eventually, a couple of years later, became the 212 class. So that is a separate division from the open, which is unlimited weight, obviously. No regrets. Hope you don't blow his shape out. No, I don't think he's not going to look drastically different from the Olympia. He would still have to be in great condition. You can't go into any show without being conditioned to expect to win. So I'm sure Shaun's going to be at least as good as he was at the Olympia. Maybe he will fill out a little bit more, but he was never in danger of not making weight. He was about 176, somewhere between 176 and 180 at the Olympia. So he could have been, he had 32 pounds to play with. So Shaun Clarida never has to worry about making weight for 212 like someone like a Lunsford or someone who gets up to 240 plus in the off season. That's never an issue for him. So I don't think he's necessarily going to be a lot heavier. I think he'll probably bring a very similar look that he had at the Olympia, and that could very well be good enough to beat these guys that we're talking about, or maybe not. We'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting. Run PMC. This is like when Jose did the Phoenix Pro show a few years back. Yeah, Jose did jump into that show. That's right. I think he got 7th, I want to say. Michael Edwards would be like the Lord of the Rings, Frodo destroying Sauron. Lord of the Rings references. You can't go wrong with those. Grayson Gallick doesn't have much more room. He is like 40 pounds under the 212 weight cap. Yeah, he's referring to what someone else said. Yeah, he's under 180, so he could be about 35 pounds heavier. He's never going to outgrow the 212 division weight-wise. Patty Gold Clayhar. That's the Team Clayhar. That's the wife of Phil Clayhar, the Jamaican Tank. Appreciate you watching, Patty. Patty asked, Ron, do you really think he has a chance? 100%. 100%. The only thing he's lacking compared to these other guys is just stature, height. He's not let's be real. He doesn't have the widest structure. He's not as wide throughout the shoulders. That's kind of how Lunsford beat him. So these other guys we're talking about, they're going to be taller, they're going to be wider, but he's packed. He's got so much muscle on that frame, and he gets in a crazy condition. Yeah, if I was a judge, we'll see how everyone else looks, but I think he has a great chance of winning this. And I think that would be newsworthy if he could do that. I can't remember a 212 guy, a current 212 competitor, jumping into an open show and winning. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember that happening. I remember Flex Lewis did it years ago, but I don't think he won. I think he placed. That was a long time ago. Alon Powers, my buddy from New York City. Enjoy the Met New York City. Witnessing Shaun crushing it since 2005 WNBF days. Yeah, what's funny is the first time I met Shaun was, I want to say it was 2009 at the Bob Bonham, who just passed away, rest in peace. Bob Bonham's Strong and Shapely Gym in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We had a barbecue for MD, for Muscular Development. Shaun was there, and I had never seen him before. He was competing in the WNBF, a pro natural organization. He was competing at about 125 pounds, seriously. And I remember talking to him for a few minutes. I said, you should do NPC Nationals. You'd blow the bantamweights away. He's like, you think? I said, dude, he showed me pictures and stuff. I said, oh, absolutely. The shape and structure. And that was when he was like competing at 125 pounds. So he's put on over 50 pounds of muscle since then on a 5'1", 5'2" frame. I think he's more like 5'1". Mike, Clarida and Sergio standing next to each other, crazy. Yeah, the craziest comparison I ever saw was at the 1993 Olympia, and this will be kind of like that, in Atlanta, when Lou Ferrigno, he was still in the middle of that comeback. So Lou's about 6'4", 6'5", he's up there. He was over 300 pounds at that show. He said he was 315. I don't know what he really weighed, 312, 315. He did a little pose down next to a guy from Italy named Flavio Baccianini. Flavio was 4'10" or 4'11". I think he was 4'10". 4'10" and about 130 pounds. So it was hilarious, I know. So yeah, Sergio's about 6 foot. He's got to be close. Cedric is like 6'2". Branch, say hi to everybody. This is Branch, my pit mix. Branch the Bubpas. All right, Branch, you're a good boy. But we're trying to do a video here. Yes, you're a good pit bull. Let's see what else. Father Pops, is there paid live stream for this weekend? Yes. LegionSportsFest.com. LegionSportsFest.com. Get all that info and pick it up there. Would Bumstead hop onto the Open? I don't think he would. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see Chris jump into a show like this. It's not too late. If Chris Bumstead called up the promoter and today and said, "Can I jump in your show?" What's he gonna say? No? Come on. Of course, he'd love to have Chris. What promoter would not want Chris Bumstead in their show? Because Chris just does the Olympia now. So that'd be another cool thing to see. But now we're getting really greedy. But stranger things have happened. So who knows? Mike, I'm excited to see how Regan shows up. I wonder what Milos can change in a couple weeks. I've been seeing Regan's pictures. He's already looking a lot bigger and fuller. Obviously, he couldn't have grown a lot more muscle in, what was the Olympia? The Olympia was like 9 days ago. I don't think he put on a ton of muscle in 9 days, but he does look fuller. I think over time, when if Regan stays working with Milos, I think Milos will help him put on the size he needs, because that's all Regan needs. Regan Grimes, fantastic physique, beautiful structure, shape, symmetry, lines, all that. Just needs to be bigger, and I think Milos can help him do that. Let's see what else. Bleed Blue 160. Well, isn't Rami the standard when they award size over condition? No, the judges judge what's in front of them. So it's not like they all get together before the show and say, listen, we're just going to pick the biggest guy, not the most ripped guy. It's not like that. They judge what's in front of them, the best package on that day that they feel is worthy of the win for second, third, fourth places on down the line. There's no standard. Like, although we say things like Chris Bumstead is the standard because he keeps winning, and Rami has won 2 Olympias, but look at all the pro winners from all the shows this year. You'll see a lot of different types of physiques. Many, many different types of physiques. Bigger, smaller, less conditioned, more conditioned. They just happen to be the best on stage that day with that group, according to what the judges' opinions were on that day. MMA fan, would be cool to see you on the Fouad Abiad podcast. Oh, I'd love to go on Fouad if he would have me, sure. I'd love to be on the bro chat and talk about, what do they talk about? Like weed, vaginas, what else? Parking tickets. They go all over the place, and I think that's cool. I like how they don't talk that much about bodybuilding, because, we're not one-dimensional. A lot of people, when I talk to a lot of civilians, as I call them, regular people, and sometimes they try to put everything into like bodybuilding terms. Like they think I can't understand the point they're trying to make unless they couch it in bodybuilding terms. I'm like, do you think I'm a moron? Come on now. We're not that stupid. Dirt Frog. Why is Shaun doing this unless he needs some cash? I don't think he's doing it for the money. He already got outsized by Lunsford to be a F&B. Needs to be a 193 to openly compete and be competitive Ronnie style. I can't speak for Shaun. I just did an interview with Chris Mins, and I don't think he knew exactly Shaun's motivations, but I'm sure Shaun's been thinking about doing an open show, and people always tell the top 212 guys, you should try an open show just to see how you do. It's a perfect chance. It's 2 weeks after the Olympia. He's already in shape. He lives in New Jersey. It's not like he has to go across the ocean to get to Reno, Nevada. So I think he just saw the opportunity and he wants to go for it. And I'm glad he did. He can make a great impact. Totally agree with you. Reality check incoming now. I don't think he's going to do... I can't see Shaun, unless he like blew his diet and ate a bunch of pizza and drank a bunch of beer. I can't see him doing any worse than 3rd place at the worst. He's a phenomenal bodybuilder. He's got a great physique. He's shorter, he's lighter, but that, like I said, as long as the physique is quality physique with the shape, the mass, the condition, all that, it really shouldn't matter. Although that's why I feel Hadi doesn't beat guys like Rami, because Hadi's shorter. I think it'll be the top 500. Oh, easily. Is Regan going to win anything under Milos? Well, time will tell. How do we know? Yeah, I think he will. I think if Regan gets bigger, he's going to start doing much, much better. He's won smaller shows. He keeps qualifying for the Olympia, right? He keeps winning. He'll go off and win like the Prague Pro or the Korea, some show over there, Japan, Romania. He wins shows like that. So if he's got more size, I think he can start winning bigger shows, something like the New York Pro, the Chicago Pro, a little slightly tougher competition. Regan going to win anything? Brian Lee, Shaun is so round and bubbly without a weight limit, he can come in as full as a house. Hope you're well run. Well, he didn't have like I said, he didn't have a weight limit. I mean, he had a weight limit of 212, but he's nowhere near it. So it's not like he was sacrificing size or weight just to come down to some weight that was really... He never even gets to 212 in the off season when he's at his biggest and heaviest. So I don't think he's going to look different from the Olympia, nor does he need to be. He came very close to keeping his title. I don't think Lunsford crushed him by any means. A lot of people felt Shaun won. So he has his supporters, people who had the opinion that he could have kept the title. Hadi LOL. Momo Benaziz did it and Shaun can do it too. Yeah. If you guys remember, or you can look it up, Momo, M-O-M-O, Benaziza, he was from Algeria. He was a top pro, late 80s, early 90s, and unfortunately he passed away very young the night after winning a few hours after winning a contest in Holland, Netherlands. But he was 5'2". He was about 180, 190. I think he was like 190. he was a top Olympian. Always did very well at shows. He won some shows, and yeah, he was 5'2", but he was a tank, and he got shredded, so it didn't matter. Hadi moment, Hadi. A lot of Hadi fans here. That's good. Is Shaun going to compete in Open? Yes, that's the title of the video. It wasn't. If I don't know, I put a question mark at the end of the title, but this time I put 2 exclamation points. Shaun Clarida is going Open this weekend because it's a done deal. He's signed the contract. He's on the list. He's flying to Nevada. It's all good. I think David Henry is one of the few that did Open and 212. Yes, he did. Dave Henry used to place, back in the early days of the lightweight division, which is 202 in the early days, they used to let them do crossovers. So David Henry competed in the Olympia at least once, maybe more than once, in both the 202 division and the Open on the same day or the same weekend. And he placed, I think he won the 202 and he was in the top 10. Dave was in the top 10 a couple times at the Open Olympia, the Mr. Olympia. Dave still is very good. He's coming back as a Masters. I mean, I hope maybe they'll let him. I don't know if they won't let him cross over, or maybe you're not allowed to do that anymore. I'd like to see him jump into this too. Why not? He still looks great. I saw him win the Legion show 2 years ago. I was at Long Beach. He won that, and he looked phenomenal. Very impressive still. I guess we can call him a giant killer for real. Yeah. You can't really call someone a giant killer if they're just beating other shorter, lighter guys, right? But if he wins this, if he ends up beating Sergio, Cedric, Max Charles, Regan, Fitzwater, Patrick Moore was like 6'2", then he's going to be a giant killer. Also, to let you know who else is doing this show, just while we're on the subject, Missy Truscott. Missy Truscott, who's the Olympia champion last year, Arnold Classic champion last year and this year, just got second. She's coming into this show. This show, Chris Mittens is getting some amazing talent. Natalia Coelho, who just took second in the women's physique to Sarah Villegas, she's jumping into this show. Everybody's going into the Legion Sports Fest. That was 92, I believe. Yeah. Casey Bradbury, could Sebum make the jump Open? How would he do? Chris needs more size for Open. I think he would just be outsized. He's got, obviously, flawless shape, structure, symmetry, all that. He gets nice and lean, but he would be at 6 foot 235 or so, 6'1", whatever he is. He's too small for, at a smaller show, I think he'd do okay. Like a show like this, I don't know if he'd win, but he'd be up there. At a bigger show like the Arnold Olympia, where obviously you got guys like Hadi and Rami, and it's tougher. He would need to be about, my estimation, about 20 to 25 pounds heavier to really do some damage in the Open class, which I don't think Chris is interested in doing. He said many times actually over the past couple weeks, he's very happy in classic physique. He's the world champion 3 years running. Yeah, why would he leave the classic division? I think that was 92. Dane Christensen, the stage presence and presentation have any influence on scoring? Shaun commands the stage when he poses. I absolutely think, especially when it's close, and it does come down to, sometimes guys are very, very close, and you can tell the judges they're having a hell of a time. That's when they compare the guys over and over and over again. They switch them, and they run them through the poses, many, many times, all the mandatories. That's when something like presentation, the way you carry yourself, do you come across with that winner's attitude and aura versus someone who's, if you don't really look like you want it and the other guy really looks like he's fighting for it and wanting it, and you can't make up your mind. I don't know if it's conscious or subconscious, but I think the judges would go with the guy who really looks like he wants it. He wants that win. That's just my take on it. Let's see. Brian Lee, Ron, you got to come out here to Vegas, becoming the new Mecca. I'll get out there eventually. I want to check out Dragon's Lair Gym, of course, Flex Lewis's place. Looks incredible. The new Powerhouse Gym that Iris Kyle and Hide Yamagishi opened up looks really good. Plus, everyone's out there now. Jake Cutler, he's been out there for a long time. Flex Lewis is out there. Iris, Hide. There's a ton. Milos. There's a ton of pros out there now. It is the new Mecca. It used to be LA long ago, but LA is kind of not what it used to be in many ways. Robertino Pagano, Sebum considers health. Exactly. With a kidney condition that he has, Berger's disease, I don't think he would want to push his luck by doing a lot more gear, eating a lot more food, just putting his body under all that stress when he does have an autoimmune disease. C-Bum Kissers Health. Yo, what's up, Ron? Simpson Dowder, best poser in open now. Stephen Rott. Maybe. Yeah, he might be. I can't think of too many great posers in the open division. Brian Lee, don't know if you caught this past weekend show, but Rolly got a gift. Samson should have took second to Nathan. Yeah, I saw the pictures, and I agree with you. Samson, I would have picked Samson for second. But I don't think there was any question that Nathan was the rightful winner. Nathan had that show wrapped up. I really wish Nathan had been in the Olympia. I really wish he had made it out for that. Robertino Pagano, who's Hassan Mustafa's current coach? That would be the real technician, Chris Aceto. That's his coach. Morteza Absulvan, only Hadi Chupan. I don't know what you mean by that. Hadi's done open shows. Hadi's, the first I heard of Hadi Chupan was 2017. It was through Giles Thomas because he was at the San Marino Pro in Italy. And Hadi, I think he was second to Rolly Winkler at that show, I want to say. So he's done open. He's done very well. Obviously, he's done very well in the Olympia. And he was a 212. Hadi came from the 212 division. Yeah. Big Hadi wins next year, maybe. Nathan Dandridge says, not even top 5 for Shaun? Come on, he's going to make top 5. Are you still coaching Jason Genova? Not only am I not coaching him, I don't know what happened to Jason. Where is he? He stopped making videos. I haven't heard a peep out of that guy. I can't call him a kid. I think he's like 33 now, 34. I haven't heard a peep out of Jason Genova in years. I guess he's all done with being a YouTube celebrity and all that. I don't know. Morteza Abulvan, I think if Hadi put a few pound muscles, he definitely will win next year. I mean, he's third. If you're third place at the Olympia, you're definitely in contention for the win. If you're good enough to be top 3 at the Olympia, you're good enough to be Mr. Olympia. You know, you're right up there. You're close. You're very close. Shaun won. Well, he hasn't won yet. The show hasn't happened yet. Zach Kiefer, why doesn't Shaun do the 212 Masters this weekend, also on Friday? Shaun Clarida? I don't think he's old enough. Is he? Do they have 35 and over? Well, I think you have to pick one division. I think you can't do multiple. And he wanted to do an open show, and he saw this opportunity. 2 weeks after the Olympia, it's in the U.S., it's in Reno. I think he just jumped at the chance. Do you think Breon would do well in the 212? Yeah, Breon's one of the guys who has had a lot of trouble these past couple of years getting down to 212 pounds. His body wants to grow. I think Breon, I don't know if he's made any announcement yet, but I hope he does try 212. I'd like to see him bigger and fuller because he has such beautiful shape, round muscle bellies, little waist. Obviously, he was a 2-time Olympia champion class physique. He's got beautiful shape and structure. So that, with a little more size, I think he'd do very well in 212. Absolutely. You know, the divisions aren't that different. I mean, the genetics it takes to be great at one division are the same. It's just bigger versions. If you really analyze the guys who are doing well in men's physique, the bigger version of that is a classic physique. A bigger version of that is a 212, and a bigger version of that is open. So yeah. Let's see. Peter Archer, will Chris Bumstead go for it number 4 in a row class title next year? Yeah, why wouldn't he? He's a champ. Unless he got injured or sick or something, I don't see anything stopping him from going for it. And, you know, he's got some heavy competition now, so we'll see. Do you think Breon would do well in 212? I just answered that. They have Masters Olympia? No, they don't. They had one years ago. They've had it off and on, but we haven't had a Masters Olympia now in, oh man, 6, 7, 8 years at least. Maybe longer. Zach Kiefer, I tried talking David into doing the Open this weekend. He said no, he has other plans. He's doing Masters. David Henry. You never seem to see a Masters category in the Olympia. No, it was held as a separate event. It wasn't part of the Olympia weekend. The last time it was held, it was in Florida. It was a standalone event, Masters Olympia. No, it's never been part of the Olympia weekend. It's always been separate. Separate promoters, separate city, separate time of year. Vince Taylor won that like 5 times. Yeah, we haven't had one for a long time. Patty Gold Clayhar again. Phil wanted to do this show after he watched the Arnold, but I talked him down, LOL. I'm going to send you a pic. I took a Phil at the Olympia with Shaun. Patrick Moore is shorter than Phil, probably 5'10". Yeah, I don't know why, because I'm down to like 5'7.5". I used to be 5'8.5". Ooh, like that's tall, right? But so when I'm standing next to someone who's 5'10" versus 6 foot, it's kind of all the same to me. Especially once they get even taller than that, it's all the same to me. Paige Moore, thank you for all the hard work and awesome interviews. You're welcome. Jesse Shaun would get hammered in open. He's just too small and short. Now, if he was over 5'8", he'd be the best bodybuilder in the world without question. His structure so tonight. I agree. Clarida does have a small structure. He's a shorter guy. Obviously, he doesn't have very wide clavicles, but he has packed on a ton of muscle. You know, like Phil Heath didn't really have wide clavicles. They were average, but he packed on so much shoulder and upper back mass that you really couldn't tell he had narrow clavicles. Certain poses you could, but most of the time you couldn't. They did away with Masters Olympia. I mean, if somebody wanted to put on, if some promoter comes along with a proposal to put on the Masters Olympia, I don't think the IFBB Pro League would say no if they could put on a good show and, you know, they had a history, a track record of being good promoters. They haven't done away with the Masters Olympia. It's just nobody's come along and says, nobody's come along and volunteered to promote it, to put that show on. It's a lot of work putting on these shows, so, yeah. Sebum, Roberto Pagano. Sebum uses little gear. His secret has been consistent training since he was a teen. No magic pill there. Yeah, I don't think Bumstead uses much. I really don't. No, I don't think he's natural. Don't get it twisted, guys. But I don't think he uses heavy or high doses. I really don't. Should Patrick Moore go to Classic? No, not at all. Patrick is already, if he's 5'10", like Patty said, I think for a pro, at 5'10", you can only be something like 210 pounds, something like that. And he's already competing. He's already like over 240, maybe 250. So no, he's way too big. He'd have to lose so much muscle. He would look terrible. No, he's not going to go there. He's not going to do that. Stephen Curran. Howdy was second to Cedric McMillan in San Marino. You're right. Cedric won that show, not Rolly. Cedric's in this show. I don't know why I couldn't remember. Till Hadi Synthol go sleep. Hadi was second. Do you think Hadi had anything in his shoulders? I have no idea, guys. I personally, my opinion, this is just me talking. I think those of you who use gear, where do you put your gear? I've asked this a few times. You put it in your glutes and your shoulders, unless you have someone that can help you put it in weird places like your lats. But most of us do it our own shots. We pin ourselves. This is all we can reach. Here, here. That's it. So, you know, at that level, you're doing multiple shots a week. You got to put it somewhere. I just think it was an accumulation, an inflammation from the regular gear. Some of you are gonna say, you're an idiot, whatever, that's fine. I gotta eat soon, guys. I think Regan Chu's a perfect coach. I'm excited to see him on stage. I agree. The truth, Jay Masters, fellow Del Rey misfit, ordered Jason Genova's trolls to dox Jason's uncle. So the family put an end to Jason being online. Very sad, unfortunately. 212 isn't bigger than Classic. I don't know if you mean, because I was saying, well, they're thick. They are more thickly muscled. Yeah, guys in Classic can weigh more than 212, but if you're telling me a guy who's like 5'5", 212 pounds isn't bigger than a guy who's 5'11" and 212 pounds, come on, guys, do the math. 212 bodybuilders are more thickly developed than Classic. Classic has a weight cap for every height to make sure they don't get too big. And if they want to get bigger, they can just go to 212 or open bodybuilding and do that. Masters Division would be fun. Where would I place Flex Lewis at 2022 Mr. O if he gets there? No worse than top 3. No worse. Pushing for the win, maybe. He's damn good. We've never seen Flex Lewis filled out at like 225 or so. I think we've seen him at 212 many times. I think at about 225 he'd be deadly. He'd be right up there with these guys. Natalia Coelho, excited to see that you're going to be at the Legion show, Ron. I am not, and now I'm very upset. Unfortunately, we had just done a bunch of show coverage. We were at several weekends in a row of show coverage, and we have a print magazine, Muscular Development, that I do a lot of the writing for, and I did need this week to get a lot of that stuff done because we have deadlines for printers and all that stuff. So the timing was just poor. I kind of wish I was going now, trust me. Especially looking at this lineup, I wish I was going. And also because Chris Mintz puts on a great show. He treats the athletes well, treats the audience. Everyone, it's a great time. Everyone walks out of these Chris Mintz shows satisfied. No one ever walks out going, what a crappy promoter, what a crappy show. No, they're always very, very, very happy. It's a great experience. A couple more and I got to go. Mark, are bodybuilders less conditioned nowadays or just unflattering lighting? Both. Most of them don't get into that crazy, dry, shredded condition because they want to stay big and full. And the lighting is now, you know, it's for the pay-per-view. It's for the cameras, the TV cameras, the video cameras. So it's not as sculpted. Like, go back, look at old videos and pictures from the Pro Ironman show. That was an example of just perfect lighting where everybody looked incredible. But they weren't they were lighting that. The gentleman who did the lighting for that was Mike Nevy, who was the chief photographer, shot all the covers and most of the images inside Ironman magazine for a good 20 years or so. And he lit that stage just like he would light his photo studio. The guys looked incredible at that show. Balram Morel. Hani interview was great as always, but you didn't ask him about Funky Delt's comment. No, I mean, why would I do that? Yeah, you guys always want me to ask like the tough questions and like put people on the spot like 60 minutes. But if he wanted to bring that up, he would have, and he didn't. So he hasn't addressed that anywhere, and that's his prerogative. So I wasn't going to bring it up. You know, Hani's a friend of mine. I consider him a friend. We did a column together for 10 years for MD, and you know, if he wanted to bring it up, he was free to do it. But honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't because I was like afraid to ask him. I was thinking about questions for Lunsford, questions about Hadi, the shoulder thing. I just didn't think to ask it, and I wouldn't have anyway. So if you think I'm a whatever for not asking, oh well. Sebum wouldn't be as dominant. This is from Brian Lee. In the open, unless he put on at least another 12, 15 pounds. I think it's more. I think he needs like 20, 25. 12 to 15 would be great too, but I think to really compare with these other guys size-wise, he's 6'1", 235 wouldn't cut it. He'd need to be more like 260. Yeah, he would. Maritime Tees. Very little sponsorship money for Masters Olympia. That's why they did away with it. Yeah, they couldn't get sponsors. You know, if you can't get sponsorships, if you can't get people to help pay for your show, you're not going to make that money in the ticket sales. If you think that's where these shows make their money, that would not support any show, trust me. They need the sponsors, the logos you see on the stage. That's where the real money is. And if those companies don't want to give you money for your show, you can't have a show. How are we doing today, Ron? I'm doing well, thanks. Same for Martin Fitzgerald looked peeled. Can't wait to see him next to Shaun. Shaun is too small for open. What do you think is wrong with Hadi's shoulders? Ugh. I just said that. Hani's a friend of mine. I didn't want to go there. Honestly, I had so many other things to talk about. I wasn't going to put him on the spot. You know, you guys, the thing about interviewing people in this business is you have to interview the same people over and over again. And they don't have to interview with anybody if they don't want to. So if you piss somebody off, if you put them on the spot and ask them about their arrest or their divorce or Synthol or something, next time you ask them for an interview, they might just either ignore you or say, no, thanks. And then what do you do? Because someone else will get the interview, not you. It's hard to understand if you're not in the journalism side of it. Yes, I do consider myself a journalist, even though I don't cover presidential elections or world wars. I haven't had a world war in a while. Another thing about his shoulders, waiting for your reaction. Awkward comment. 212 is a bigger classic. Thanks for chatting with us. It's a media person to ask tough questions. Yeah, but see, most media people that do that, they never interview that person again. They do it. It's a one and done. All these like awkward interviews you see like on news, they never get that person to interview again. And our world is small. The bodybuilding industry, it's tiny. You can't burn bridges. If you get one person that's mad and won't interview with you again, you're screwed because you'll need to interview them again multiple times. There are some people I've interviewed 20, 30, 40 times over the years. And I've done that by being courteous. If I put them on the spot and say, I heard you were arrested for blah, 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 you know. If you bring up something that makes them very uncomfortable like that, they don't have to ever interview with you again. And then I need to keep interviewing these people. They're just going to interview with somebody else and not me. Nah, I can't have that, can I? Appreciate it. All right, guys, I have to run. I have some things to take care of. Appreciate you watching. So once again, Shaun Clarida is going open this weekend in Reno. I can't even answer that. It is legionsportsfest.com for all the info. There is a pay-per-view for that. You can see the full competitor list at ifbbpro.com. It's going to be a great show. Appreciate you guys watching.